What's up, problem solvers? It's time to think big as we work through volume lesson 6. Let's get started with our very first question. It says a fish tank is shaped like a rectangular prism with a volume of 3,600 cubic centimeters. The tank is 30 centimeters long and 12 centimeters wide. What is the height of the tank? Well, I'm going to notice right here, it's not asking what the volume is. In fact, it already gives me the volume. It's asking what is the height. So I'm thinking about what I know about a fish tank, and a fish tank is definitely a rectangular prism. It's giving me the volume here, and it's giving a couple of the measurements. It looks like the length and the width. So what they're asking me to do is to figure out what the height is. So let's just go with what we already know. Finding the volume of rectangular prisms. And so we're going to start with length times width times height. And that equals our volume. Well, in this particular case, they did already give us the volume, so I'm going to fill that in. 3,600 is my volume. They gave me the length, and it's 30. They gave me the width, and it's 12. What I need to figure out is the height. So I'm just going to keep moving forward with the information that I already do have, my length and my width. And if I stop and think about it, length times width, isn't that the same as area? And so we remember that we have talked about the importance of base area to find volume. So in this case, the length times the width is going to be my base area. So I see I have a 3 times 12, and I know that 3 times 12 is 36. And that would be the same as saying 36 times 10. 10 has one zero. 36 times 10, 360. Or just tack on that one zero. Cross off what I've already used and bring down everything else. I still don't know my height, but I do know my base area and my volume. So here I see I'm left with 360 times something equals 3,600. If I'm remembering what I've learned in the past about multiplication and division, I know that they are closely related and can be opposites. So to figure out this missing factor here, I'm just going to work a division problem. So 3,600 divided by 360. Remember my in and out. And then I'm ready to go ahead and set this up. Circle it up. And I see that I have those zeros on the end, which really is going to help make my work a whole lot easier because I can take 1 0 off the outside and 1 off the inside, which is the same as saying divide by 10. So what I do to the outside number, I have to make sure I do to both sides. So then I'm left with 36 divided into 360. Let me rewrite this to make it even neater. All right. Oh, and 36 into 36, I know is going to go one time. And that's going to leave me with 0. And so then I know I just have to bring that extra 0 up. So it looks like in this particular case, my height is going to be 10, but I want to remember centimeters. So my height is 10 centimeters. Okay, now that you have watched me work through one of these, now it's time for both of us. We're all going to work together. So go ahead and get your papers out. Pause the video while you get yourself settled. Okay, now we should be all looking at the same question about a swimming pool. Let's read it together. A swimming pool is shaped like a rectangular prism with a volume of 4,800 cubic feet. The pool is 30 feet long and 8 feet wide. What is the depth of the pool? So you should already be thinking what this question is asking you to find. Picture in your mind that swimming pool. A swimming pool, we know, is like a rectangular prism, and it's filled with water. So really kind of what this question is asking or explaining to us is about the amount of water in the pool. Let me go ahead and erase all of this now that we're on the same page. And while I'm erasing, be rereading the question and looking for the information that it does give and what information it's wanting us to find. We see that this one also already gives us the volume, so I'm going to make sure that I highlight that. It gives us the length and it gives us the width up here. All right, and it's asking for the depth. So I'm focusing on the answer to the question, what is the depth of the pool? Let's go ahead and start with what we know. What we know is how to find volume is length times width times height, and that's going to give us our volume. It already gives us some of this information. We'll start with that. The volume is 4,800. Does it give us the length? It does, 30. Does it give us the width? It does, 8. What's missing is the depth, and the depth here is going to be the same as the height, because when you jump in a pool, you'll say, don't go in the deep end, or watch out, you're getting close to the deep end. That's how high the water comes up. So that depth is going to be the same as our height. We'll move forward with what we already know, and that's our length times width. And we remember length times width is the same as the what? I hope you said base area. So base area, and here I can multiply 3 times 8, I get 24, and this extra 10 here it's really like saying 24 times 10, which would give us 240. So our base area is 240 times something, because that's not the answer to the question. We're still trying to figure out the height or the depth. 240 times something equals 4,800. So again, we'll use our division because multiplication and division are so closely related as opposites. So I'll start over here by saying 4,800 divided by 240. Remember to use in and out. Woo, crazy looking O. Circle them up. And then go ahead and get it set up. 240 divided into 4,800. Here I see I have zeros at the end of both sides or both numbers. And remember, what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So when I take off this 1 0, it's like dividing by what? Dividing by 10. So I'm going to divide this by 10. I'm left with 24. I'll divide this by 10. I'm left with 480. So 24 divided into 480. 24, I'm thinking about 24, if I have 2 groups of that, okay, that gives me the 48. So I'm going to say 2 times 24, or 2 groups of 24 gives me 48. I subtract, get 0, bring that 0 up. 24 does not go into 0, so 0 on the top, 0 on the bottom, and I'm done. So I see that my missing measurement there is 20. So I want to make sure that I indicate this very clearly. My depth or my height is 20. Don't forget the unit of measure, and it is feet. So my answer here is 20 feet. Okay, problem solvers, you have on your paper one more for you to work through by yourself. So if you'll go ahead and pause the video, work through the you do question, and then once you're finished, you may unpause the video and join me again for our next set of questions. Okay, welcome back. How did you do on the question by yourself? Well, I'm sure you did fabulously. Let's look at our next question. This one you won't have a copy of. This one is just for me to work through while you watch carefully. This one reads, a storage room measures 12 feet long, 9 feet wide, and 6 feet high. Each crate inside measures 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet. How many crates can fit in the room without gaps? Ooh, this one has a lot of information that it's giving me. So I need to make sure that I can think through and picture in my mind what is actually being said with this information. So we're starting with a storage room. So I'm going to sketch off here a room. We know a room is three-dimensional if we think about the room all together. Kind of like our classroom. It's three-dimensional and things can fit inside, like us. So in this room, though, we're going to be storing some crates. So if this bigger prism is our storage room, I'm picturing, okay, we're going to be storing a bunch of crates, which like a bunch of boxes, but we got to pretend that these are all three-dimensional boxes. And they're going to be stacked, it says, without any gaps. So this room is just going to be full of packing boxes. Okay, so what it's really asking me to figure out is the volume of the room and then the volume of each of these crates. And then with that information, go from there to figure out how many of those crates can I fit into this storage room. So let me, now that I have a good idea of what it is that I'm doing, let me erase all this, get some more workspace, and then we'll be ready to jump into solving this problem. All right, almost done. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so let's start with the storage room. I'm going to label that SR, storage room. Again, length times width times height. So I have 12 feet long, 9 feet wide, and 6 feet high. I'm going to start right here with my base area, 12 times 9. 12 times 9. All right, well, I can put this in expanded form, which is 10 plus 2 times 9. I want to put that together. So let me get this set up. 10, 2, 9. 9 and 10 times 10 is 90. 9 times 2 is 18. I add 90 plus 18, and I am going to get, I have 10 here. Whoa, I don't need to carry a 1. Sorry about that. 9 plus 1 is 10. So I know that I'm looking at 108 times 6. Done with this. Still working on finding volume of the storage room. So now I'll say 100. I don't have anything in the tens place, so I'll skip it. Plus 8 times 6. So draw up my box. Even though it's just 3 digits, because I don't have to separate that out, I'm just going to be working with 108. So 6 times 100 is 600. 6 times 8, 48. When I add those together, I do get 648. So my volume of the storage room is 648 feet cubed. I want to make sure I keep that where I can see it. Okay, let me erase. I'm going to increase the size of my eraser here so it won't take as long. And then I'll move forward and find the volume of the crates. I don't want to erase 648. That's important to hang on to. Okay. All right, so back here. Now I'm going to work on the crates. I'm going to put a C over here. Length times width times height. Fill in with what I know. This looks like 3 times 3 times 3. Hey guys, I'm noticing that they're all the same. So I'm remembering that cubes are the same dimensions all the way across. It's like it's made up of 3 is 9. Cross off that times 3 equals 27 feet cubed. Okay. So now there's my volume for my crate and a volume for the storage room. Now what I have to figure out is how many of these will fit evenly into that. So I could really just kind of think to myself, I could add 27 up until I get to 648. That would be 14, and that's 54. And that is definitely a strategy that you can do. So this would be like one crate. This is another crate. Then I could sit there and say, okay, well, I know if I had two crates, that would be the same as saying, if I take another two crates, what if I say 54 plus 54? That would give me 108. So this would be one crate, two crates. I'm going to make some tallies. One crate, two crates. And each set of 54, well, that's already two crates. So this would be another two, and this is another two. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I could work all the way up doing that until I get to 648, and that's definitely a strategy that would work. But I also realized that 648 split into groups of 27 is a division problem. So I would be taking 648 and splitting it into groups of 27. And you may be thinking to yourself, oh my goodness, I don't know how to divide by a number like that. Well, let's just look at it and what would happen if we split it up like this. Okay, think about this. How many groups of 27 are going to fit into 6? None, because it's already too big. When I put a 0 on the top, I need a 0 on the bottom. I'm going to subtract and then slide. Think, 27, how many groups of 27 would fit into 64? Well, 27 is pretty close to 30, but I already have done some work here. Well, I see that two groups of 27 is 54. I'm going to go with that. So two groups of 27 I already know is 54. So then I'm going to subtract and get my 10 and move my 10 over. Problem solvers, I want you to look at this. I have 108. Didn't I already come up with that? So 108 is how many groups of 27? Well, we already did that work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. When we subtract, we're going to get an even amount with no remainder. So the answer is, how many crates can fit in the room without gaps? I can put 26 crates in that storage room. Way to go, folks. Okay, so the next one you are going to work on your paper with the we do. So pause the video for a second while you get yourself settled, get some scratch work paper out, just in case there's not enough room in the box provided on your paper for you. And I'll see you back in just a moment. Unpause when you are ready to hit play. Okay, and welcome back. We're going to read about a warehouse box, and it measures 24 feet long, 12 feet wide, and 6 feet high. Each smaller box placed inside measures 2 feet by 3 feet by 2 feet. How many smaller boxes can fit inside the large box without gaps? This question is very much like the last one that we did together, or that I solved about the storage room with the crates. But this is just going to be a large box with smaller boxes inside. So let's go ahead and start with what we know. I'm going to go ahead and label by saying a warehouse box, length times width times height, because we have to figure out the volume of the bigger box and what size it is before we can figure out how many smaller boxes can fit in it. So it's 24 long times 12 feet wide times 6 feet high. I'll go ahead and start with my base area, length times width. So this will be 20 times 4 times, this is 20 plus 4 times 10 plus 2. So I'll set up my box. 24 for 24, 10, 2 for 12. So I have 24 times 12. 10 times 20, 1 times 2 is 2 with those 2 extra zeros. 10 times 4 is 40. 2 times 20 is 40. 2 times 4 is 8. Now I'm going to add these up. I can see already I'm going to get 240 plus 48. And all I did there was 200 plus 40 to get 240, 40 plus 8 to get 48. And then add 8 and 2. But that's just my base area. Now I need to say 288 times 6. So I'm going to move my work up here so that I can put all of this in expanded form. 288 times 6. So this will be 200 plus 80 plus 8. Put that in parentheses, times 6. And 6 gets to just be strong all by itself. No need for expanded form. Making my box getting wide because I have 3 numbers to put across. That's an 80, and this is my 8. Okay, 6 times 200, 6 times 2 is 12 with the 2 zeros. 6 times 80 or 6 times 8 is 48 with the 1 extra zero. And again, 6 times 8 is 48. Now I do need to rewrite this down below to line up my place values to be able to add. All right. In my ones place, it went kind of crooked, but I can keep them lined up. This is a 12, and this is 7 and 1. So my volume of the warehouse box is 1,728 feet cubed. Let me get some workspace here to erase. Make my eraser bigger. And just know that if this is going too fast, you can always rewind or even slow it down and rewatch as many times as you need to so that you can understand exactly what's going on. And that's a helpful strategy to use because it's almost better than me teaching up in the very front to you because we can't rewind what I'm saying then like you can when you're on a video. Okay, so the warehouse box volume is 1,728 cubic feet or feet cubed. Now it's time to find the volume of the small box. So I'm going to say small box, length times width times height. It's 2 feet by 3 feet by 2 feet. Now, is this a cube? The last question we answered, we had a cube. Is this a cube? I hope you said no because all of the dimensions are not the same. All right, so I'm going to start with my base area, length times width. I get 6 times 2, and then I'm left with 12. So 12 feet cubed is the volume of one of the smaller boxes. Now I need to figure out how many of these are going to fit into that. So I'm going to take the 1,728 and split it, not equals, split it into, which is division, groups of 12. In and out. Okay, 12 is going to fit into 1,728. Let's see how many times. Draw up my place value lines. How many groups of 12 are going to fit into 1? None, because 12 is too big. 0 on the top and a 0 on the bottom. I subtract and then slide. How many groups of 12 will fit into 17? 1 group of 12. When I put something on the top, I have to put something on the bottom. Now it's time to subtract. I get 5. And slide. How many groups of 12 are going to fit into 52? Now you may not be as familiar with your 12 facts, but we can work up to it. So if I have 1 group of 12, I have 12. 2 groups of 12, or 12 times 2, is 24. 3 groups of 12, or 12 times 3, is 36. I think I can get a little bit closer. 4 groups of 12, or 12 times 4, is 48. 48 is pretty close. So I'm going to put 4 groups of 12, and I know that's 48. I can't say 2 minus 8, so I'm going to have to do some borrowing. And it's like taking 10 back over. So 10 plus 2 gives me 12. 12 minus 8 is 4, and 4 minus 4 is 0. Okay? And then slide over my 4. And we just looked at 4 groups of 12, or 4 times 12 is 48. I'm looking at 48, so again, I know 4 is going to work for me. And it goes in there evenly. So I do have 144, or 144 small boxes will fit. 144 small boxes. Okay, guys, now if you need to go back and rewatch, you're welcome to. But now, after you get finished with that, it will be time for you to work on the last question on this page, which is the one for you to do by yourself. If you need to go back and replay any parts of the video today, feel free to. Okay, guys, I love you, and I'll see you next time.